Welcome to AI Innovators. We're a new startup with a big dream to demystify AI for everyone, from the curious individual to the global businesses. But here's the deal. We need you to make this dream a reality. So we're opening up our doors to interns, and no, that does not mean you have to be young to join us. So what do we value? We value your passion for AI and the unique skills that you can bring to the table. Are you a whiz at video editing with AI? Maybe you're the social media guru that we've been searching for. Or perhaps you've got a knack for creating compelling blogs and articles using AI and your brain. And if you're always on the hunt for the latest AI, then you're probably that researcher we need. But there's more. If you've got the skill to craft engaging training videos, we want to hear from you. We're also on the lookout for podcasters to create captivating shows. Do you know someone who'd be a fantastic guest for the show? Let us know. Or maybe you've got the AI expertise and some humor to help co-host with us. We're all ears right now, so bring us your suggestions and leave them down below in the comments. Join us at this pivotal starting point, because together we'll not only shape the future of AI for hundreds of thousands of people, but we'll also build a community where every voice matters, because we want to hear your opinion on AI. So what do you say? Ready to innovate, collaborate, and leave a mark? Click the link below and contact us, and let's get this AI movement rolling with AI Innovators. There's great power in community, so if you know someone who'd like to be a part of what we're doing, well, share the love, share the link. All right, now enjoy the AI Innovator Show. Welcome to another show with AI Innovators. Today, I've got a special guest. It is Zach Wright. He's the co-founder and chief revenue officer of SYFT, an AI-powered service as a software company modernizing business-to-business sales through automated value matching. And with over 10 years of experience leading sales teams at Oracle, Zach is a passionate person, and he is enabling the next generation of B2B sellers. So under his leadership, SYFT has built a platform that uses AI to identify prospect pain points, match solutions, and scale personalization and the messages for those companies. So let's go ahead and bring Zach on. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Gil. Thanks for having me.
Good. You just shared a little bit of information just before we got on here, some exciting news for you personally. I don't know if you want to share that with everyone.
Yeah. Outside of being an entrepreneur and co-founding a company, as if that's not crazy enough, my wife and I, we got married last year. We're expecting our first kid. We're 3 weeks out from the due date, but they say in those last 3 weeks, it could come at any time. We are in this scenario where it could be any time. So we got the bags packed, we got the seat all installed, and it's a surprise on the gender, which is cool. It's funny. She really wanted to do the surprise, and I really wanted to know the gender. So we compromised, and it's a surprise.
Awesome. Congratulations on that, and blessings in all that is an adventure.
Yeah.
Married life and a new child all within a year.
Yeah.
Wow. Moving along.
We're going to have our first year anniversary on Sunday. So just over a year.
Wow. Congratulations on all of that.
Yeah.
So, Zach, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself in terms of where you've come from and how you got to where you're at today, doing what you're doing?
Yeah. I was born in Houston, Texas. I went to play football at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. That's a small D3 school, but great education. So it was a good opportunity for me to go to college, go to a great school, not hang up the cleats. I played football all 4 years there. I ended up interning between my junior and senior year at Oracle. 2013, I was an intern there and I had a great time there and ended up securing a job at the end of that internship. So my senior year was quite the breeze, knowing that a lot of people have a lot of anxiety. Are they going to get that first job? But I already had my dream job there. So it was great.
Yeah.
So that kicked off my sales career in B2B software. It was cool because my dad actually worked at Oracle in the 90s when I was growing up. So it was cool to follow in his footsteps and start my career there, which was it's like college 2.0, but it's a great place to cut your teeth and learn how to sell.
Yeah. Awesome. How long were you at Oracle?
Yeah, so I started there as an intern, got into sales development. I was in the inside sales, field sales. That was the total of 4 years. Then I went to Informatica another big player in the space, and for another 3.5 years. And then I went to be a regional sales director at Oracle a second time. So there's a lot of boomerangs that happen at Oracle. And I was lucky enough to keep some good relationships, and they saw a place where they could plug me in to lead a team there, which was great leadership experience. And then after 1 year, it was really tough to leave that team because we were doing so great. And I forged such good bonds with the people on that team. But I had some really exciting things I was working on with SYFT and wanted to co-found SYFT with one of my co-founders is my best friend since the fourth grade, Lee Rogers. Oh, wow. And then our technical counterpart co-founder is Peter Katzos. We met him through a close group of friends, and it was a good trio that we could go start something together and do something different.
So what year did you start SYFT?
Yeah, so I joined in July of last year full time, and that's when we really started selling and get going. And it's been a wild ride, but it's like the momentum, it just feels like it keeps accelerating, which is great. And it's been very educational, because it's funny, you think, oh, I'm at this big company, I want to go do my own thing, but you really take for granted a lot of, oh, but here's the supporting marketing and the finance and all this stuff and the brand. You look at that, and I'm the chief revenue officer, so I handle sales and marketing and customer onboarding and training and all this different areas. And that could be like 11 different hats that you're wearing. So it's really difficult at first, when you're not used to that entrepreneurial life, how to segment your day and where to spend your time. And that was a tough learning curve, but I feel like I've really figured it out. Focusing on, okay, I'm thinking in systems is a book that one of my best friends gave me, but I'm just going to focus here on this system and invest that till it works really well. And I'm not going to introduce a new system until I've really perfected this system, and kind of just keep iterating on that. I ended up starting a YouTube channel, and now I'm doing live interviews, which I just had one today with another sales leader. So I'm not trying new things until I perfect what's working, and then double down on that and then try something else. So that's been a good secret to tackle a lot of the things that I'm covering.
So SYFT has only been, with you anyway, taking off in the last year or so, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. And so then you've been in the middle of all the AI stuff taking off. So do you feel like the AI stuff is helping you to do your job better? And then we'll jump into what SYFT actually does.
Absolutely. It definitely, riding that wave has been great. It is tough to get noticed in the noise, for sure. I feel like we're doing things a lot differently than a lot of other players in the space in our approach. However, like the movement of AI and generative AI specifically has been definitely an overall positive thing for us. And our customers are all trying to figure out how to use this, because they all thought, oh, we're just going to log into ChatGPT and we're going to figure it out. Like, that's the underlying technology. But there's things like SYFT that are coming out and creating purpose-built applications to harness generative AI and do all of the back-end work for you. And that's what we're doing from a sales intelligence and value selling perspective.
Okay, so for a total layman doesn't have a clue what you're talking about in terms of what your company does, why don't you share it from a level of somebody? And let me back up just 1 second. What kind of businesses is SYFT for? Is it for small business, mid business, larger businesses?
Yeah, it's for any B2B sales organization. We started with software and software services. We've typically been focusing on like mid-market and below. Although we do have some large customers that are enterprise, we're mainly focused on those mid-market and below, probably around 150 sellers or less. That's our ICP or our target market. But yeah, that's where we're headed, is the B2B sales organizations.
Okay, say there's someone out there who's wanting to understand what you do, and let's hear your sales pitch.
Yeah, the problem today is that value selling at scale is very hard to do and very hard to replicate. And what I mean by value selling is being able to quickly identify what are the challenges my prospects are facing, and how is my company uniquely positioned to solve those challenges, and what are our value statements, and how can I replicate that across my entire territory. So SYFT, we are automating a lot of those manual processes that are inhibiting that personalization. And a lot of those siloed applications and manual processes, we're trying to eliminate that into a single experience to help sellers focus on the right accounts that are most likely to buy, or what we call value matches, or they're showing symptoms of problems that you can solve. Then we create an area for you to easily create lists by similarity, so you can personalize to those accounts with the right contacts, and then build valuable outreach content, whether it's sequences or call scripts or value briefs, whatever it might be, and using generative AI to build and stitch together that what we call the problem solution value matrix, but building out these value cards of why your company is valuable. For most companies, it's very difficult to point their team at the right accounts. And typically users are just given a territory and they have to figure it out. And then they resort to, all right, I'm going to rank these accounts by how big they are and how, like, the sexiest logos. Like, I was a fan of Nike growing up, so I'm going to go after Nike and maybe these industries, but that's how sophisticated it gets. We're making that, we're surfacing those value matches. So that's the main point that we're trying to say.
Okay, I guess one of the things I found here about SYFT, it says it uses a single system approach and generative AI to automate value selling at scale and create efficiency in leading sales teams down the path of account research, account prioritization, territory organization, collaboration, tailor valued messaging, contact recommendations, and personalization. What's that in layman's terms?
Yeah, so everything, like a seller, they might receive a territory, and I'm going to pretend like this seller X has 500 accounts, right? Typically, they're given those accounts and the data about those accounts and maybe the contacts, and then they're just given other tools that enable them to blast their messaging. I call it the spray and pray approach, right? Where it's not very personalized. And the problem with this approach is that everybody's doing it. So the end users, they are receiving hundreds of emails a day that are cold and they're tone deaf.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is spray and pray is dead, and personalization is the only way to go. So SYFT is enabling you to use generative AI to personalize that information and your outreach sequences to be tailored to the challenges that they're facing, and surface those value match accounts and be relevant so that you can personalize and ultimately get the meeting.
Okay, so if I were one of these businesses that was looking at you to come and help me get started, would you be bringing in a system that you have created that's going to be set up and made automated in-house for me? Or is it something that you guys operate and maintain from where you're at, from your house?
Yeah, so we have, it is a SaaS application, but then we configure it to go and look at what is it that is your prioritization algorithm, or how we're going to value match. So for example, SYFT, we care about looking for companies with a new chief revenue officer and acquisitions and funding and new product launches. Maybe they mention a competitor. So we're going to configure that to what you care about and prioritize specifically to what you care about. And we're constantly scraping those accounts. So we're reprioritizing every single day so that your sales team is focused on the right accounts. So that's number one. Then we are building out that problem solution value matrix, and it's configured for your specific company. And we're building that journey by looking at what challenges your prospects are facing and ingesting all of your marketing so that we can contextually put the right value statements to solve those challenges. So the answer is, we've got a product, and then we configure it for you so it can prioritize and help you create valuable content.
Okay. And I got several questions, but one is companies that have brought you on and you've started to work for them. What kind of return on investment have they been able to see? Is there something that they see instantly, or does it take a little bit of time?
Yeah, it all depends on the stage that the company is in. We just signed a 3-year agreement with a company, and they were going through they typically were inbound, and they used to have a sales force that went through layoffs. Now they're onboarding many reps and they've got to start their territory. So we actually help them segment their territories and then prioritize those territories. So some companies, it might be a time saving from, okay, how quickly can I onboard these new reps? And if it's going from 6 months to 4 months, and what I mean by onboarding is a rep comes on board and now they are dangerous, right? They don't need they don't need the hand holding anymore, right? How long does it take to get them to 100%?
Yeah.
Some companies have told me a year, some have told me 9 months, some have said 6 months. So how can we shorten that by automating a lot of the territory planning aspects? And then how can we point them in the right direction and find more healthy pipeline that's more likely to close? So if we are positioning their sales force at the right accounts and these deals are more likely to close, we're finding needles in the haystack for them. So we're helping them with their pipeline build, but we're also improving their close percentage because these are higher quality deals. So those are we have an ROI template that we walk through a lot of our prospects with, and that's how we help justify some of the business case.
Okay. And as I'm thinking this through, just about every company has sales at one level or another. But obviously, this is going to really hit home for someone whose their entire business is based on sales. And it sounds like what you're able to do is go out, identify the targets. And so I'm putting it in my language since I don't know anything.
Yeah,
Able to identify the people. I don't want to call them targets, but identify the people that you are targeting. And not only do that, but you're able to collect enough information on that person so that when the salesperson goes to contact them, it hopefully is much more of a personable thing versus, like you said, the cold call. And now it does your system also create some, I think you already said that creates emails or other things that are going to go out that start to warm that person up because you do know something about them versus just.
And one correction that I would make is we are gathering intel about the company and how they're like the direction of where the company is headed. And then we have the contacts. So typically a seller might know these are the types of titles that we'll go after, but we're gathering what we call the value hypothesis of how is your company uniquely able to solve these challenges that we're finding at this company. So like maybe a company had a new product launch and in enabling those sellers on that new product verbiage, SYFT could help enable them with the problem solution value cards that we create. So that might be something that we look for. There's another scenario where there could be a team name that I just saw. T. Rowe Price was an example. And they opened a job posting of a director of data governance. And it clear as day said, help us pick our vendor and strategizing and implement our next data governance solution. And this is going to be on the AMDO team, whatever that data, the asset management data office or whatever they called it. I'm going to use their verbiage back to them in my outreach. And then in the job posting, it said, oh, this reports up to our newly hired chief data officer who rolls up to the COO. I could not believe this job posting. But so many job postings get this in depth on how, and job postings is one example of a source. I'm not saying that's the only source that we're scraping, but what I am trying to say is these are little hidden types of intent that we're scraping for that we put into our value hypothesis that if a seller was trying to do this manually, they would not be able to do it. What inspired me to go about it from the job postings perspective is I used to sell Informatica and they were an integration provider for data warehouses. So I would just scour these job boards in my geographic territory and say, who's hiring for data warehousing initiatives? And then I would reach out to them and say, hey, saw you guys are doing a data warehousing project. How are you getting the data there? How are you cleansing the data? How are you doing this and that? So I'm trying to take my best practices from prospecting in the past and turn that into a product that can help automate a lot of the prospecting efforts. And really, users are doing this already today manually, the best sellers, but how can we replicate that across the team so that we can get the most out of each of these sellers and more onboard these sellers to be A players right off the bat?
I like it. I like it. So I'm curious, do you have any interesting scenarios where you've implemented SYFT with a company and saw something, I say interesting, but strange, unique? Anything you can think of to share?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's strange. I thought it was really exciting. I ended up like that company that we just implemented. It's just fresh on my mind because I
Yeah.
implemented them last week. They asked me to carve up the territories across these 7 reps. I put in the geographies. Each of them had 100 to 1,000 accounts, and then in preparation for me turning the keys over to them, I said, "Hey, I'm going to find 5 active data governance implementations or projects that are going on. And I promise you don't know about these projects. So I'm going to bring you, if we go back to the Glenn Ross leads, I'm bringing you the Glenn Ross leads here. And I'm going to show you of what good looks like." And I brought each of them 5 to 10 leads of active projects. And that was incredible. And I did that in 30 minutes, but I did it for the whole team. So I found like 30 potential opportunities for them in 30 minutes, which is insane.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming you're using AI to do the scraping and some of these other things, and you've got your own system that you've created that does all this rather automated compared to anybody else trying to do it. They're still going to put a ton of work into it in order to get the results that you get. And plus you've fine-tuned it and you've got it refined to an art where you're able to do it very swiftly, very accurately. So I just love all this. How are you planning to stay ahead of up and coming companies and some of the stuff that's just being thrown out there that people can do some things on their own if they put it all together? It's still a lot of work to put it all together and figure out how they might do it. And then you don't even know if it's being done well or right. But you guys have got it down to an art. How do you plan to stay ahead?
Yeah, we're obsessed with being focused on value and value creation and value matching. So in a world, let's pretend like cold calling and cold emailing don't exist anymore, because that's a very possible future with AI, which is very scary. So that means that the future of prospecting is through a vehicle that does not yet exist. So
Yeah.
that is a very interesting conversation to have. So if we're talking about value matching, and everything that we're building in our current product is building towards this long-term vision of value matching, where we are connecting buyers and sellers based off of a problem solution set, we can ultimately be matching customers to solutions that are showing and we're identifying problems that they don't yet know about and using AI to find those problems and then matching them with solutions that we know about. Since we are building these problem solution value matrices across many different companies, we're gathering kind of the world's problems and solutions, and everything that we build today is a foundation layer for that long-term vision. Today, we focused on sellers, the seller experience, because that's what we know. But in a future, that could be very different. We could use our value matching platform for all types of things like problem discovery, or I have a couple other examples, but like you could see the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the process, again, you're quite a young company, but you're making your mark. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've actually run into along the way?
Yeah, you could imagine like back in January, February, March, there were many companies that were doing tech sales layoffs. So while we were growing like crazy, and in any other scenario, it would have been fine, we were working with a lot of enterprises, and we were a new company. So it's tough to get an annual commitment at that point. So we were working with enterprises and they were swiping monthly credit cards and all that. But then all of a sudden we had a company and 100% of our users got laid off. And then a second company, 100% of our users got laid off. And then a fourth company. And we're like, wow, we've got to pivot away from these credit card swipes. So in February, we started doing annual commitments, and that's when we focused down market. And that was the best decision we've made. And there are other areas that we can that we can get into the enterprise, because enterprises, they need all of the integrations and all of the compliances and everything that a startup just can't afford to have and deliver yet. So that's why we focus down market. But that initial February timeframe where these companies, it was like all of our users were incredible, great salespeople. They were getting laid off, not because they were not hitting their number. The only silver lining in all of this is those people will get jobs and have got jobs, and they've taken us with them to new companies. So it's not like it's a lost cause. However, in the short term, that was a pretty challenging thing to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are there any major milestones that you guys have had your eye on? Some maybe that you've met, and maybe some that you haven't met yet that you're still heading for?
Yeah. Getting that first 100K in ARR, that's something that we achieved, and that was a big milestone. Hiring our first sales rep, other than myself, was a big milestone. Getting that first annual commitment, we did that, and then we ended up getting another 3-year commitment. So that was a big milestone. We got big partnerships that we haven't yet announced, but we are going to announce this month when we complete our integrations. Those were 2 really big milestones for us. So lots of really good things going on. The next step is there's certain revenue landmarks that venture capital firms want you to hit to prove your product market fit and all of that. And we've got our eyes on some pretty big targets here with a very small team. So it just goes to show, if we can do that, and we've done that with a smaller team, then that's an incredible feat and a perfect example of a company you should pour some gasoline on and try to really scale this thing. And that's what excites me, is what does SYFT look like a year from now? I cannot wait.
That was actually exactly my next question, is what's your vision for SYFT over the next year or so? And that is a big one, because with the scenery changing so rapidly in the AI arena, a year almost seems like an eternity in some ways. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to have more linearity, and we're starting to see a higher deal velocity, which is very excited. Like it was today, randomly of all days, today was our best day in SYFT history, getting 3 customer commits. And these are annual contracts. So it's for us, this is just such a big deal.
Yeah.
And landing some angel investment this past weekend was incredible. So just a lot going on. We'd love to build on this momentum and have more, even higher deal velocity and more consistency. That way we can start forecasting some incredible revenue growth and land the funding that we need to really expand our workforce. We have some key hires identified, but it's just not growing faster than you should, because you don't want to, especially in this market, you don't want to overhire. So we have key hires identified, but it's just being patient and pulling the trigger at the right time, so you're not being irresponsible and putting your team in jeopardy. So that's something that I look forward to, is a little bit more consistency and deal forecast. Right now, it's been incredible. We just had a 3-week sales cycle, which I've never been a part of a company where the sales cycle is that quick to get an annual commitment. So getting that type of sales cycle and deal velocity will definitely help with our valuation and all of that.
Very cool. Very cool. Taking a little bit different direction for a little bit, and we'll come back to the company in a minute. But since you are one of those AI innovators, you're on the edge there. What are your thoughts? And we're going to go into regulations, the future of AI. What's it going to look like 5-6 years from now? Just curious, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, everyone is so worried about let's say the sales development rep is a position in sales. Everyone always thinks, is SDRs, are they going to get replaced by AI? Is a question I've heard a million times. And I think absolutely not. I do think SDRs that are not using AI as a co-pilot, and I say that tongue in cheek because Microsoft named their AI co-pilot, but think of it as like a Jarvis experience when you're Iron Man kind of thing. Those that are using AI are definitely going to have a leg up on everybody. And I think there's, just like SYFT has created a value selling specific generative AI solution, there's going to be purpose-built AI applications for almost everything. And the barrier to entry is now very low for someone to start a company. So we're going to see a explosion of new solutions. I think this is going to make the industrial revolution, even the internet is going to be, it's going to be like this big compared to what we're going to see as an explosion in AI. And all of the new solutions out there, the barrier to entry is zero. Like you can go in and ask generative AI some of the most complex problems and it's going to solve it for you. People are even writing their applications in generative AI. And so these developers, they're turning out new features so much faster than they could have in the past. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think from a sales perspective with generative AI, sure, you might see the sales development role become a little bit more analytical. They've got to figure out, okay, I've got to be a complex problem solver and take the data that I have and make sense of it. Hopefully there's things like SYFT that can make that a lot easier. But I do think that the sales development role, and this is specific to my industry, the sales development role is not just your prospectors, but they're also the future of your sales force. So if you don't have a bullpen of pitchers in the background, you need someone that's going to replenish your team when people move on in their careers. I think just like any scenario, we're better off with AI. Do I think that AI could replace a seller 100%? Absolutely not. Do I think that we're getting in a space where you could 10x your output? Absolutely. So it's just the teams that are going to harness AI are definitely going to be outpacing those who don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as some people think there's a utopia maybe coming, some think a dystopia, where do you stand on that?
Oh, I embrace technology. That's just, I always have. I drive a Tesla. That's like my favorite. Everyone loves to hate on Elon. I think of him as like a creator. Hopefully that doesn't get me canceled. But I like how can we use technology to better society? Yeah. I think it's all good. The hard part is how can we control those acting in bad faith? That's a little bit past my pay grade, but I'm sure there's regulations that people like companies, you're already starting to see companies not allow users to log directly into ChatGPT because they might own your data. For example, when you are interacting directly with them. I heard a famous story the other day that someone they put in their source code of their application into ChatGPT and said optimize, but now ChatGPT has that source code. So that was a big mistake and that individual got in trouble. There's separate purpose-built applications that use a secure API that connects to ChatGPT under the underlying technology. And that is where you will get the activity done that you want, but in a secure way where ChatGPT doesn't own your data, your proprietary data. So that really solves that problem. And there's just going to be a ton of purpose-built applications that disrupt the big players out there, which is really exciting for a story like SYFT.
And I think of the mistakes that have been made. You take even someone leaking information, like CIA agents leaking information. Thing is, if it's leaked now and someone puts it out there and AI gets a hold of it, it's just like everything that we thought of in the past, I think, is going to be multiplied tremendously in the future. And I think that as we, like you already said, those people that aren't using AI, they're going to get left in the dust if they don't pick it up and learn how to use it. And so there are going to be some people that are going to be displaced. And as a society, we're going to have to figure out how to get through that. And so there may be some challenges ahead in that arena. But I do believe ultimately, whether it's 5, 10, 20 years down the road, things are going to be much better, but much different.
Yeah. But I think it's for the better. One small example, one of the largest companies in the world, Google, right? Mm-hmm. They have a search engine that you Google things and you probably Google 20 things a day, right? There's a website called Perplexity AI. And I have nothing to do with Perplexity. I just use it as my search engine.
Same here.
But instead of Google giving you the source of where they found it, and then you got to go into that link and scan it and figure it out. You just ask Perplexity any question, it will give you the answer. And then it's, oh, by the way, here's the 10 sources that I found this in.
I love it.
So it's like things like that. It's just blows my mind that like Perplexity could go out there and just deliver a better experience than Google, which is a behemoth of a company. Right?
Yeah. No, it is amazing. And the thing is, just in the last 6 months, I would say there's just been this exponential curve to things that are coming out. It's like, how long is that going to go? And the bigger question, I think, I don't know if it's a bigger question, but it's another question. And that is sifting through all that to, like a lot of people use the term noise, sifting through all the noise to get down to the companies like yourself that are good, solid, plan to be around forever or as long as you can. You're solid.
Sifting through the noise. I love that. I'll have to use that at SYFT.
There you go. Yeah. I
love your use of the verb. That's great.
Well, let's go back to your company. If people are interested in what you're doing, they want to get a hold of you. One thing I'll say is look in the notes, everybody, because we'll get that information. Make sure it's a link in the notes for you. But Zach, how would they reach you? What would be the procedure to get a hold of you?
Yeah, SYFT AI, SYFT with a Y, SYFT AI.com is our website. You could request a demo there. I'm also trying to build out my own social media presence with LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube shorts and YouTube live interviews like this. I did a live interview today with a sales leader that you can find me at Zach Wright SYFT in all of those mediums. My YouTube one is the one I'm most excited about. I'm trying to build an audience of junior sellers or people that are interested in sales and just give them the shorts. I do about 3 a week, but it's like a 1-minute single purpose video of, hey, here's how to prepare your executive for an executive meeting, right? Or whatever. Here's an interesting way to prospect. And then I'm doing 20 to 30-minute live interviews with sales leaders to help share that wisdom. Because I feel like there's a lot of wisdom out there that people don't have a way to share it, right? They don't have that platform. So I feel like over the last 10 years in software sales, I've built a great network of sales leaders. So I've been inviting on 2 a week and we're doing like 20 to 30-minute interviews. And
Very
this
cool.
is brand new. I just did my second one in YouTube. Awesome. You can find me at Zach Wright SYFT.
Zach Wright SYFT. All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very cool. Any last things you want to say about your company or yourself before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'd say you only heard from me and I'm just like the sales guy. There's 2 other co-founders that are much more technical than me, like Lee Rogers and Peter Katzos. They're the ones that really get in the weeds and the AI stuff. I just have to understand how it works and then I go out and sell it. I would say just huge. SYFT is not just me by any means, right? There's 2 other co-founders and a couple other employees that are really making this product powerful. So wanted to give them some credit.
Very cool. Thank you, Zach. Honor you. Appreciate you being on here. And to anybody who wants to get a hold of SYFT, look down in the notes, get your information there and reach out to them. And again, just thank you. Invite people, like this show, share it, get the word out, and we will see you all next time. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Hey, just a quick reminder to everyone, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Do you have more to add to what we shared today? Drop us your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. We genuinely value your input. So if you know of other AI innovators that should be on the show, connect us with them. Go to our website and contact us directly. Together, we can make a difference.